Hey everyone, this is Mikey's Garage. I'm Barry.
Mikey.
And we have Kade today with us, who is a cancer and COVID survivor. So you want to ask him a couple of questions about what that entails and see what he has to say. And so, Mikey, do you want to ask the first question?
You can.
Oh, okay. Well, my first question would be, out of cancer and COVID, I'm assuming cancer would be worse, but that would be an assumption. I have not experienced either one. What do you find is which one was the worst experience overall?
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I would say out of the two, cancer would probably be the worst, like you said. There's a lot more that I went through, and I feel like COVID, I did not get as much symptoms as the serious symptoms were. But cancer with the chemotherapy is definitely my worst.
So, now Kade is actually, pretty young, so he's not at the most at risk in the age bracket. How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
So he's 23 years old. So he's actually, one of the. If you were going to get COVID, that would be the ones you would want to be in. So how did you get? I mean, I don't know a lot about cancer, so I would say, like, how did you determine you had cancer, and what were the steps that led you to go to the doctor and say, hey, look, we may have a problem?
I think it all starts back with how they did in grade school and everything. They teach you in health school how to check your body and everything. And so me and my fiance, checking and everything, kind of found some, say, discrepancies of, male areas.
Okay.
And so we kind of saw it concerning at first, and then we waited a little bit. Being a guy, I was like, nah, nothing happened. So we decided when we talked again that it's a little bit bigger, like it's time to go in. 3 a.m. we went in, and they did a little ultrasound, and they said it was concerning. Let's send you to a specialist.
So you went. This was like an urgent care type thing, or hospital, or?
Yeah, I would say it was more of like a hospital.
Okay. Okay. So then they found something concerning. So they did some tests, and they found out that you had cancer. And so what was the next step? What did they tell you? Like, here's our options. This is what,
So it started out with once they sent us to a specialist, they did their own examination, and they said, so this is what we're dealing with. We are 90% certain this is a cancerous tumor area, and we want to move forward as quickly as possible. And we do want to do a removal of the organ that contains the cancer and everything, and surgery as far as the next day.
Wow. So that was pretty quickly. So they assumed they felt like it was an aggressive type of cancer. So I don't know how. I mean, I'm not even sure if you know, but is there like a ton of different types of cancer, or is it? And I have no idea. So what they say as far as, like, you have one of the more aggressive kinds, or is it all the cancer kind of the same, or what?
So I can't 100% remember what he said, but yeah, testicular. We talk about types of cancer. Testicular had a type that it was fast moving.
Okay.
I can't remember the specifics of it, but it can enter into it can move throughout the body.
Quickly.
Yep. So they want to make sure that it doesn't happen. So they want to move their origin spot. So
Sure. Okay. Do you have any questions as well, or something come up to mind?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, so how long is from the time that you found that you had the cancer to the time that because you're now cancer free, what kind of time frame are we looking at?
So it differs for a lot of people
Sure.
when you find it, because like I said, I'm stubborn. I would never came in if it wasn't for my fiance.
It could have been too late by the time you went in there, and probably for a lot of people.
The doctor said he has seen people come with softball size organs, and they're like, nothing's wrong with it, it's just how it is. But the doctor's like, no.
Like a malignant type of thing. Did I say that right? Malignant,
Yeah.
not cancerous? No, that's not right?
What is that?
That's not. Continue.
But I see what you're saying. But from the time, I'd say July is where we found it.
Yeah.
No, June was when we found it.
June. Okay.
We were thinking February is when it started. So, about the same year.
And that's until you were cancer free.
From when it probably started.
Okay.
And then June was removal. And then November was the day we were out of chemo.
Okay. Wow. That's quite a bit of time. Right, Mikey?
Yeah.
So, everything's going great now. Fantastic. How often do you have to go in and get checked out? Or is it like, hey, you're good, come back if you have any more problems?
So yeah, next 2 or 3 years, I'll have to go in every 2 months.
Every 2 months.
For a checkup to do my blood work to see if certain markers going on.
Okay.
That are kind of indicative of if the cancer could be better.
Okay.
And then every 6 months is a CT scan.
Is it what?
Is a CAT scan.
Okay. It's curious though, I was like, people who go to the doctor for just regular checkups who might not have cancer, I always wondered, like, why wouldn't they just test for those things? Because like you said, they're markers and things that will show signs of, and I'm pretty ignorant about it, to be honest with you. Meaning, like, I don't know if it's like, well, the reason why we don't do it is because it doesn't, it doesn't always say something, or even if it, I don't know. But I was just like, well, when I go to have my checkup, why wouldn't they just check for cancer? There's so many different types.
You don't go to the doctor very often.
I do actually. About every 6 months I go to the doctor.
You told me the last time that you only go once in a great while.
About every 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a problem, but that's more of a checkup. And I do have high blood pressure and things like that. So that's one of the things that.
You have high blood pressure?
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have something in common.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to move on to some questions about
what's the next question?
COVID-19.
Yeah.
Kade actually contracted COVID-19.
He did?
And we were talking about this earlier, but we wanted to ask you some questions as far as like how was your experience, what it went through, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, what do you have, Michael?
What, you?
Okay. Well, so can you tell us about like, was it like having the flu? Have you ever had the flu? Is it similar?
I've never had the flu before, so I wouldn't know personally.
Okay.
But my experience, I thought it was allergies at first.
Okay. So what were some of your symptoms?
So the week before I went and tested positive, I started feeling, so I had shortness of breath, so I was really tired all the time. I didn't do a lot, so I thought maybe my body was just fighting hard against the allergies. I started not to taste or smell eventually, and then started coughing and sneezing, so I thought it was really bad allergies.
So your taste and smell, from when you started experiencing any kind of symptoms, how long did that take before you lost that?
It was probably about, Tuesday to Thursday, probably about 3 days.
About 3 days later. Did you get fever and some of the other common symptoms that they were talking about?
So I don't know when I started if I had a fever before, but I checked it 2 days before. It was like 5 days after my symptoms started, and I did have a fever.
Now, did you feel? For me, when I've had the flu and I've had colds and things like that. So for me, when I get a fever, I can feel a fever on before I even check my temperature. It seems to me that some of the things I've heard, it's like people were surprised that they've had a fever. It's like, well, how can you be surprised? You kind of feel a certain way, but maybe that's I'm feeling something else and I'm just not correct. So did you feel like you had a fever before you took your temperature?
See, I think it was just me. See, I'm very cautious about COVID in the first place. I try to take all the precautions I could.
Sure.
But I think at that point, I was just being ignorant, and I just didn't think about it. I gotta say, I felt sick.
Yeah.
So it could have been, I felt like I had a fever, but I just didn't. At that point, I thought I was just me being sick. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I had a headache and everything, but I didn't feel feverish.
Okay. So how long did the symptoms last before you were COVID free, I guess?
So to this day, I still have no taste or smell. But the
How long has that been now? I can't remember when exactly you got, when you were diagnosed with COVID?
Say it'd be 3 weeks now.
3 weeks, and you still have no sense of taste or smell. Okay?
Yep, and after testing positive it took about a week or two. So like 2 or 3 weeks since my symptoms, I still had shortness of breath.
Wow. So, did you go to the hospital when you had COVID?
No, I didn't.
I'm curious about shortness of breath thing. Was this fluid in the lungs or something? That'd be one of the things that I'd be super concerned about, especially being older, like pneumonia, for example, type stuff.
How old are you?
Old enough to know the difference. No, I'm 45 years old. So,
45?
How about you? How old are you? Old as dirt.
Yeah.
All right. Were you concerned about having fluid in the lungs? And I guess, I've heard of people, I've heard of a person, I should say. You hear rumors and you don't know which true, which not true, but I heard of a person who had felt like they were walking and just had fluid in them, maybe in their lungs, and then they were found the next day on the floor in the kitchen. Dead. So, that would be a huge concern for me. Were you concerned like that at some point?
Dead in the kitchen.
For breathing? Did you, like, shortness of breath? It was like, oh, this could be a problem.
See, I was, if I were to lay down or sit down, I didn't have anything.
No issue. But only when you were moving and stuff.
Well, let's say I had to take my dog for a walk or go outside, or if it was hot, I'd start to feel nauseous and stuff like that. So I thought it was comparable to another sickness. So I thought I'd be fine, which I eventually was, but I wasn't too concerned.
So how did you, okay, do you have anything else? No. Right for the moment?
No.
How did you contract COVID?
To this day, I don't know, because it was on a Sunday, and I was only with my fiance and my dog, so.
That's when you started having symptoms?
Well, they said, so, what the health officials told me was that on Tuesday, that I started feeling symptoms maybe 48 hours before they are looking at the areas so that I could contract it.
Now, did your fiance ever get symptoms of COVID, or did she get COVID?
Nope, she tested, she quarantined like me, and she heard tested back negative a couple days after.
Now, I understand they can do that test, and you can show up a negative, and then she could get it. I know y'all quarantined, but y'all were in the same house, or the same apartment, so.
Yep, so health officials said we could isolate ourselves.
Okay.
So we kept separate rooms. We practiced everything we could to keep non-contact as much as possible. So we did that for as long as they told us to do, which is around, I believe it was 10 days.
Okay.
And then after that, we could continue to do our own thing. As long as my fever was down and my symptoms were down for at least 48 hours. And for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, well, fantastic. Anything,
No.
Well, Mikey, usually as a tradition on this show to ask guests about fantasy football or just football in general. I'm sure he's got some football questions.
No, I don't.
Yeah. What about his favorite football team?
Who's your favorite football team?
I like the Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers. What about Ben Roethlisberger this year? He's going to be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does well.
He says he's not playing.
He's not playing?
No, yeah, he has concerns about COVID.
Oh, is he stepping down?
I believe so. I think he was saying he liked the idea of being a backup, but he didn't feel like playing due to concerns. At least the last article I heard.
Wow. When was that?
That was my last week I read it.
I'm going to have to look into that because, that is a huge thing for fantasy football people. Hopefully you picked him.
No, I did not.
Well, that's unfortunate.
No, I have good quarterback.
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I don't think he's playing this year.
Yeah, he is.
No, we'll see. He probably is, but we'll see what happens. All right. Well, Kate, thank you for coming to Mikey's Garage today and speaking to us about it because I have no idea. I can't believe you don't have any questions about COVID.
I don't.
That's just insane. I can't believe it. Well, anyway, tune in next time, and we'll have a new guest or someone else that comes in and chats around, and have a grand old time. So, all right, thank you, and we'll see you later.
Thanks
See you
for having me,
later.
guys.